How to overcome a low GPA when applying to graduate school. Are you not so proud of your undergraduate GPA? Are you concerned that it will hamper your chances of acceptance? We're going to discuss how to mitigate its impact so that you can apply successfully to graduate school despite your undergraduate performance. And we're going to do so by going through the 5 A's for your low GPA. They are 1. Assess your GPA. 2. Analyze the causes of your low GPA. 3. Address your GPA. 4. Add context to your GPA. And 5. Avoid the mistakes that I've seen applicants make over the last 30 years as an admissions consultant in addressing their GPA. These are the steps you need to go through to apply successfully when you have GPA concerns, shall we say. Let's go through each of these topics in more depth. Assess your GPA, the first A to overcoming a low GPA. Is it really low, and how low? A low GPA is below your target school's 75th percentile for admitted students, if you have that information, or 0.3 or more below your target program's average GPA for accepted students. Let's discuss the good and the bad in this definition. This definition is relative to the schools and programs that you are targeting, and that's the good. If you have a 3.3 GPA and the average GPA of the entering class is a 3.3, you do not have a low GPA and you don't have to worry about one. However, don't tune me out yet. If you have that same 3.3 and the schools you are aiming for have an average GPA for admitted students of 3.7 or more, then you have a low GPA and you need to overcome it. While I like this definition, I also want to issue, I really must issue, some caveats. Admissions is about much more than just your GPA or any one number. By focusing on the average, the definition doesn't reflect the impact of GPA trend, extenuating circumstances, diversity factors, and non-academic experience. And it doesn't reflect how far away you are from the average. A little below is less of a problem than a lot below. These caveats provide opportunity for those of you who may have a low GPA and who want to attend the program of your dreams. Analyze the causes of your low GPA so you can address them. This is the second A for your low GPA. Ask yourself, did you have a hard time adjusting to college, and did your GPA take a hit during your freshman year? But improve every year afterwards, with your ending up on the dean's list for the last 2 years of college and having a 4.0 your senior year? Did you start out strong, in contrast, maybe earning a 3.9 during your freshman year, but then lost your motivation and your grades dropped steadily so that your GPA average during your senior year had declined to a 3.1? This trend is a red flag, even if your overall GPA is still a 3.4 or 3.5. Another scenario, did illness or circumstances beyond your control cause a drop in your grades for a specific period of time, a semester or two? Did you declare the wrong major and have poor grades in that major until you realized your true calling? Then you started to excel. Or, another scenario, were you working part-time to support yourself, or did you have a major sports commitment in order to qualify for a sports or athletic scholarship? The causes of your low GPA, as well as how low it was, will determine how you deal with it and how much effort you must expend to do so. Address your low GPA. This is the third A for your GPA. The groundwork and analysis are done. Now get to work. The basic goal in addressing your GPA is to show it isn't an accurate reflection of your ability today, to show that you are capable of much, much more. And there are 2 basic steps to make that case and mitigate the impact of your undergraduate performance. Step 1, ace your test. The test score indicates you have the raw talent and aptitude for your chosen field, and that your GPA may not accurately reflect your ability. You're thinking, the test is optional at my target programs, and I was not planning to take it. Well, I hate to break it to you, but somehow you must show academic ability on par with those who attend your target programs. If your GPA is below average, as we defined it, and you don't have a significant post-bac or master's program with strong grades or just a record of strong grades, a high test score can really help the school understand what you are capable of and that you have much greater intellectual horsepower than your GPA indicates. The last thing most graduate schools want to do is admit someone who can't handle the work and who ultimately drops out because they simply aren't up to it. Give them the evidence that you can handle it, and prepping for and acing the test is one excellent way to do so. Sometimes in conjunction with additional recent A's, which is step 2. Add context to your low GPA, the fourth A for that low GPA. Schools may still wonder, what happened? Why was your undergrad GPA low? How do I know it won't happen again? You need to respond to these concerns proactively. Worried admissions readers tend to vote deny. This is especially true if we're talking about a declining undergrad GPA. How can you deal with their concerns? Factually give context to the person evaluating your application. Your goal should be to show that whatever contributed to the poor performance either is not a factor in your life anymore or is something that you've learned to deal with. You can break down the causes of a low GPA into 3 categories. 1, circumstances beyond your control. Life happens. Illness, accidents, family problems. If these are the factors that contributed to a drop in grades, hopefully they are behind you. What you do now, you need to straightforwardly and simply say what happened. 2, circumstances at least partially within your control. Poor decisions early in your college career, a bad choice of major, inferior time management and study skills, perhaps the need to work 20 plus or more hours per week. What you should do in this case is take responsibility for mistakes, if any, and point to evidence like your recent A's, high test score, perhaps success at work or certificates that you have developed into a more mature, responsible, grounded adult. If you had to work to support yourself or your family, you have no need to apologize, absolutely not. But do state how many hours per week you worked and to try to provide evidence of grades when you weren't working so that you actually have the time to study. A low or declining GPA with no extenuating circumstances is the 3rd category. As I said earlier, that's a major red flag. What you should do? Well, you can be happy that you didn't have to deal with situations like illness, family problems, or serious accidents. You do have to take responsibility and assure the school that it won't happen again. You need probably more classes with A's to show that you are now motivated. You may need to discuss what caused the grades to decline or lack of motivation, but the goal has to be to persuade the admissions reader that those circumstances, again, are behind you and you have your motivation and your mojo back. Applicants sometimes justifiably worry that an explanation will seem like whining, which you don't want to do. However, providing context just lets the admissions reader understand the environment in which you operated. Perhaps the challenges you faced would make your 3.3 look like a 3.8. Give the admissions committee the ability to make that judgment. To avoid whining, make your description of the circumstances straightforward, take responsibility for any mistakes, and highlight what you've done to show your ability. I've given you 4 A's for your GPA. I also want to give you one last A, avoid mistakes. Avoid these mistakes in handling a low GPA. This is the 5th A for your low GPA. The biggest mistake that I've seen in my 30 years as an admissions consultant is to think that schools don't weigh your undergraduate GPA heavily. They do. Most of you are applying within 5 years of graduation, and your GPA is the school's window into your academic performance. It is also something that all graduate applicants will have, and it is one common means of comparison. And frankly, for test optional programs, that GPA is even more important. And that is one of the reasons I recommend applicants with low GPAs get high test scores. The second most common mistake is to proudly proclaim that you were too busy to study and take your classes seriously. Variations on this theme would be that you took too many units that you could finish faster or collect an additional degree. Or perhaps you enrolled in advanced classes where you didn't have the prerequisites. Maybe you were so active in extracurricular activities or your startup that you didn't have time to attend classes and study. The key failing in all of these excuses, and that's what they are, is that there is no acknowledgement of or taking responsibility for a mistake, poor time management, or bad decisions. You did it this way, and you are happy you made the choices you made, and would do it again. While you get a gold sticker for honesty, your reasoning will convey to the application reader that you are likely to exhibit the same behavior in graduate school. Your candor will not make you a more appealing candidate. The last mistake is being so focused on your GPA weakness or other weakness that you don't highlight strengths. Now, a successful application to a competitive program is not exclusively about ameliorating weaknesses. It requires that you give schools positive reasons to accept you. Avoid the mistakes I covered in this video and use the other 4 A's we covered to overcome your low GPA and gain acceptance to the graduate program of your dreams. Good luck.